Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our Survivor 48 episode 4 reaction and review. Okay, I can just see the look on your face. So, do you want to start off your victory lap now?
I absolutely do. I busted out my Guyana flag that my grandfather brought with him when he moved from Guyana to Toronto. Same as Camilla. She was saying that she's from Toronto. And this is where I am with it in my experience as being someone who is Guyanese. I have found that outside of my family, the only other people I have ever met that are Guyanese are in Toronto. There is a really thriving Guyanese population there, which is really exciting because Kyle said something that just spoke straight to my heart, which is just nobody really knows what Guyanese is. I've told people that, my mother was born in Georgetown in Guyana, and people are like, what? Where? I don't understand. And that's totally fine. But
Yeah.
it is a very special thing when you run into other people that are also Guyanese, because it does feel like nobody really knows Guyana or Guyanese people. So when we do come together, it's like, yeah, we all together. So as you know, I've been rooting for Team Guyana. So this episode, so exciting for me. That move was great. I loved how they swindled everybody to kind of come together themselves to be able to get out Thomas by.
Okay, there's just so much to unpack here. Number one, I wasn't sure how you were going to enter this video. I kind of wondered in the back of my head if this was going to be like after the Olympics when somebody has like the country's flag draped across them.
That is right. Team Guyana.
I love Kyle and Camilla. It's impossible
Me
for
too.
me as a non-Guyanese person to love them perhaps as much as you do, but I thought this was a brilliant move for them strategically. I mean, yeah, of course there's a part of me who feels like Survivor's great when you have good villains on the show. And like from that vantage point, it's a bummer that Thomas goes this early because he could have provided content. But at the same time, with the cards that the tribe swap dealt to us, I didn't want to see Team Guyana go at this point. Like, we're gonna get into all the nitty gritty of everything that happened because I've already tried to kind of like retroactively look at this move and been like, okay, is there any one thing that they could have done differently that would have made this even better for them long term? And I am struggling with that.
It was such a good, satisfying move. I mean, they were the underdogs going into this. The California Girls Alliance all ended up on the same team. I mean, they played it so beautifully. They used their advantages correctly. They really played up the whole we're not friends. Sure, I'll vote for this other person, this person.
Yeah.
It was so beautifully planned and it worked beautifully.
The only thing that these California girls clearly underestimated is ironically the same thing you've already talked about in this video, which is just how close people from Guyana can be when they hear about their shared history. Like when Kyle said that at Tribal Council, they should have all been like, ruh-roh.
Yeah, and for a minute I thought they were when he was saying that. I was like, oh no, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? He said it and they didn't seem to pick up on it. I saw some faces kind of move where they were just like, but it was what it was gonna be.
Okay, we're gonna get into everything that happened with this move mechanically. Like, there's a lot of moving parts that could have easily derailed this, but we'll talk through all of that as long as we also get into all the good stuff at the other tribes, because our new character for the season, Sitcom Dave, has introduced another chapter, and spoiler alert, it involves dairy. But be sure to hit that subscribe button now so you guys don't miss any of the rest of our Survivor 48 coverage. Also, Big Brother coming back this summer on CBS. We're going to be back to break that down as well.
Also, if you are watching anything that's scripted right now, we are at the end of Severance. We've got Yellow Jackets on the go, The White Lotus, The Last of Us. It's coming up, The Handmaid's Tale. There is a lot of great stuff here at the channel. And thank you so much to everybody who's been subscribing. You guys just helped us reach this huge goal of 70,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
here at the channel. It's a really exciting time for us. And if you want more Survivor coverage and to help support us further, you can join our Patreon. We'll leave a link for you below. Over there, we are covering exclusively The Pit, which is airing on Max. Bosch Legacy, its final season, it's coming up. We're going to be doing reviews for that over there as well.
Yeah.
And Andor, if you're a Star Wars fan, we're going to be covering that over on our Patreon as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate that. And now let us dive into a time machine for a moment here to start the breakdown of the Kyle and Camilla move and why this worked.
Okay, beep, bop, 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 boop. Okay, we are in the past.
We are in a previous challenge this season, and an important mantra for Survivor, not that either one of us is ever going to go out there and play, as we've documented previously.
No.
Hashtag always be playing. So Camilla is sitting out of a challenge, and I know there's a lot of flack sometimes given to, oh, you're sitting out, you're not doing anything, but that's a really good opportunity to talk to maybe somebody else who's sitting out of a challenge. We've seen in the past, too, that they've hidden, like, advantages underneath the benches and all of that. That's not what happened here. But Camilla was able previously to get some information that sort of suggested, oh, somebody may not being honest when it comes to what happened on the journey. And because of that conversation in the past, that's really important now that we're back in the present.
Absolutely. I mean, it didn't play out exactly the way that she thought it was going to, but I'm really glad that she decided to try to make that move within the California girls, minus Thomas, of course, to kind of bring up to be like, oh, it's interesting that Thomas said this, that he could have chosen to play or not play, because Mitch, who went on the same, journey, told us something completely different. And I mean, Thomas played it the only way he could, where he's just like, well, Mitch is the one that's lying. It's not me. I mean, how else is he going to play it? And it was the right way to play it. I mean, they all stuck together.
Yeah, that was a situation where if you're confronted about something and you've already told a lie, you can't let everybody else know, oh, guess what, guys? I was lying, This is exactly what happened. But no, I think that just getting that information was really, really helpful because it enabled Camilla to then be like, okay, Thomas may very well have something if he's presenting this information in that way. So that's step one in trying to figure out how to stage a brilliant plan here. Step two, the Oscar-winning performances from both Kyle and Camilla after the swap, because we have to be honest, they got really, really unlucky because they had a pretty big tribe. They just so happened to be on a swap tribe with Shaheen, Thomas, and Joe, three people who were very, very close. So there wasn't any other funny business there. They go to the cursed Vula tribe, which I think we can say now is officially cursed.
Goodness, yes.
But right away, they're able to present it as though they're not that close. You have to have that game plan immediately, because any other smart player is going to pick up on something if you suddenly change your attitude after the challenge.
Here's the thing. I know that I've said, Guyanese people, we all stick together because it's such a interesting small group of people where it's if you run into another Guyanese person, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I think, though, that that's the way it is for a lot of cultures. It's oh, yeah, I'm from Toronto. Oh, I'm from Toronto. Yeah. Oh, I'm from Texas. Oh, I'm from Texas. I think just in general, oh, hometown. Oh, I'm from... That's just the way that it works in general. You meet people who are kind of have the same background. So for me, the three of them, where they're oh, we're the California girls. We're all from California. Yeah. That they did not pick up that these two people are from Guyana or have Guyanese backgrounds was really weird to me.
Yeah, they just clearly did not think it was anywhere near as big of a factor as it ultimately was. Because I don't think this is a tinfoil hat. I think this is just a sociological observation where it's just the smaller the community is in the grander scheme of things, the more that's going to be a bonding tool for people. I grew up in, it's not so small anymore, but a town called Little Elm, Texas. When I was growing up there, it was really, really small. So if I met somebody else who was oh, I grew up in Little Elm in 1980s, 1990s, I'm immediately going to be okay, this is a very good at first bonding experience. Maybe as the weeks go on, you start to pick up on other things. But that was something that was a huge asset for Kyle and Camilla early on because it allowed them to understand each other. They're then able to pay that forward in a big way, have this game plan immediately after getting to this new SWAT tribe. And this brings us, of course, to what they're able to do after the immunity challenge, which is so smart, which is to continue to keep up this ruse, this communication, and then have discussions about the idol, whether or not it should be played.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle, my guy, good for you for knowing that people are going to look through bags and like hiding the idol in your shoe. By the way, I have size 14 shoes. I could hide all sorts of stuff in these shoes. Like, I'm going to be well and good. Like, yeah, digging through bags can be kind of unseemly as a viewer, but it's not banned in the rules. It's like, if you're in danger, you're going to do whatever you can. Like, I don't fault Shaheen for doing it.
I don't either. I don't love it as gameplay, but at the same time, if there's a way that you can find out if somebody has an advantage, then go through the bag. But at this point in the game, and this point in just in Survivor in general, if you are just putting your note or idol in your bag, then you kind of deserve what you get. Like, you need to be a lot smarter about it. People know that people go through people's bags at this point.
Yeah, they do. And it's just they were able to have some wherewithal with that. They were able to pick up that, okay, Kyle is the target. And then beyond all that, they're able to do enough here when it comes to building trust that the entirety of the California Girls Alliance votes together. Because here's where I started to kind of question things after immediately watching it, because I was sort of thinking, okay, so we know after watching the vote and seeing the end of this episode that Kyle and Camilla's extra vote did not come into play here. Like, they still have that. But was there a situation where Camilla could have voted with the California girls and then Kyle play his idol and then they could have kept this secret alliance moving forward? I thought about it, but then I was like, okay, well, if something had gone really awry and one of the California girls was like, hey, just in case some funny business happens, I'm going to plant a vote on Camilla. Then we get in some sort of tie vote situation. Camilla ends up going effectively. So I think the voting structure had to be this way.
Absolutely. They don't have anything to lose at this point with their alliance sort of coming out. It's just now it's 2 against 2, right? Yeah. And the numbers are different now. They've gotten Thomas out, who they suspected had some sort of advantage or something because of that information that Camilla got, right? So now it's like, okay, unless one of these other 2 have something else, then they've gotten rid of the problem that's out there and they're okay. And now it's just a little more even. If they can win some stuff, then they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's so good on them that they do not end up having to play this extra vote, because it's like they still have this moving forward. And yeah, maybe they could have tried some funny business where they put that out there and sort of found some other way to stay in like contingency plan or whatever. But ultimately, their secret alliance, I think, would have come out no matter what happened in this, because there had to have been a reason for Kyle to play the immunity idol. And they could have sort of said after the fact, oh, Kyle was just paranoid. He didn't know what was going to happen. But they were always going to think that Camilla had told him. So they did exactly what they had to do.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is that both Kyle and Camilla can say that they knew that they were at the bottom, that they could tell that these 3 were together and they were the 2 that were from another tribe that are coming here, that they were clearly going to be at the bottom. Kyle could always just be like, yeah, Camilla didn't have to tell me that I'm at the bottom. Like, I'm fully aware that I'm at the bottom and I didn't want to go home. And Camilla's over here being like, sorry, Kyle, like, it's me or you, and it's not going to be me sort of thing. And I just feel like it's for Camilla, she can also kind of talk her way out of it to just be like, I know that I was going to be on the bottom of this, the 3 of you and me. You guys were all on a tribe together. I knew. So getting rid of Kyle doesn't make really any sense for me, because now I'm the next target. You guys are just going to get rid of me.
The only person who's really at fault, and not just because they went home, Thomas, we need to have a little bit of a talking to here, because you had your steal a vote advantage. Obviously, you felt really, really comfortable, and I understand why. Shaheen went through the bag, didn't find an idol. You guys have a close alliance, a numbers advantage, but I'm just going to play this out here for a moment, Thomas. So let's say hypothetically, you play the steal a vote advantage, you take Camilla's vote, and then you take Camilla's vote and you use that to vote for Camilla. That means there would only be one vote for you. There'd be one vote for Camilla. Kyle's playing his idol, so all the votes against him. Then you have a tie vote, and then you could have gotten rid of Camilla. So you not telling anybody about your advantage and then not having any discussion about whether or not to play this advantage, and you were obviously worried about coming across as untrustworthy or all of that, but you could have saved yourself, and you didn't because Team Guyana played you.
This is the thing about hiding advantages. Like, I understand why people want to hide them, but there is such a benefit to sharing it with your alliance, because if he had played it, then now he has to explain why he lied to them about it. And then what Camilla said is then also going to come back to be like, oh, she was telling the truth.
I don't blame Thomas in this situation. It's just like, you got to take risks on Survivor sometimes. He was the victim of a couple of unlucky scenarios, but still, the small tribe, you could have done something. I'll at least say this, and I mentioned this earlier. Like, I'm sad that we've lost a villain, but Shaheen, you going through the bag with the fervor and the passion that you did, I hope you are ready to pick up, I don't know if this is like the villain hat or if it's like the scepter of evil or something. The cape.
You have to have a cape.
You can now take the cape, and I hope you are prepared for the villainous responsibility that now lays in front of you.
Absolutely. And I think he's more than capable of wearing this cape. And I think if he decides to do this, he's going to be better at it than Thomas. Because Thomas really was like, woo-ha-ha-ha-ha, I'm this, I'm that. And there was too much ego behind it that I think it just got the better of him. He ended up not playing his advantage when he really should have. He just didn't know for sure what was going on with these two. Like, I know he felt more confident when, you know, they're going through the bag. Camilla's sitting there. She's saying nothing. She's like, yeah, let's do this. And that they're like, okay, well, I guess she is with us then. They got played.
Okay. Now, I have to say one thing against Team Guyana here.
Nope.
You may want to cover your ears.
No.
Like,
I just see yourself out.
I am a Joe fan. And for now, I am sitting here being like, okay, Joe's safe. Joe's safe. I'm kind of trying to convince myself that Shaheen is going to be the next target because they're already talking about how he's a little bit shifty. Don't get rid of Joe. Because the hard thing now is because they still have this extra vote, like, they're going to have the power moving forward if they want to play it. So it's just like, okay, Team Guyana, we have said so many nice things about you so far this season. I'm not Guyanese, but I love Guyana. I love your food.
Yeah, you do.
I love your culture. Do not get rid of Joe next if you guys lose the next challenge. Please. I'm begging you.
Listen, if they can keep Joe, great. If they don't keep Joe, great.
How dare you?
For me, as long as these two make it to the end, there's nothing more exciting than seeing two people who go to the end together then have to go head to head. I absolutely love that. It's so exciting.
No, it's really exciting. And both of them could make a really good argument at this point. Like, yeah, it's going to be harder for them to hide their secret alliance and whatever after this, but it's like they're not the only people in this game who have a pretty obvious two-person alliance. I know Eva and Joe are split up at this point, but their alliance was really obvious. And if they make it to the merge together, like, clearly that's going to be out there for people to see.
All right, let's talk about your guy David with Eva, where Eva was like, oh man, I'm on a tribe with a whole bunch of ladies and I only get along with men. So David, you're it. And they were able to connect over jet skis, and that's cool and that's fine or whatever. Yeah. But it felt very much like, Eva, you know that I'm rooting for you. I really like you, but I really wish that you would have just given the ladies a chance.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the new Loggy tribe here, and we have Mary, Eva, David, Charity, and Star, and they're this new group. And Eva, as much as I want to root for you, and I do.
I still do.
There's just things about your game that are frustrating me right now. I mean, number one, you immediately make a beeline for David. It is incredibly obvious that this is the person you're connecting with. This is not in the least subtle. Beyond all of that, you guys haven't lost a challenge. You are literally just doing the swap, and you are already out there throwing Star's name in 100 different directions. And I'm just sitting here and being like, you don't have to do this right now. Like, I understand it's tricky because you guys are on the Lagi beach still, and there's still a chance that Star ends up finding this idol, but I'm just so frustrated by her.
I am frustrated by the gameplay as well because but I do still root for her. I mean, she's an underdog. I can't help it. But
Mhm.
her doing the thing with the beaded bracelet to give to Joe, I mean, it's not only putting a target on her, it's putting a target on Joe. Now she's doing the same thing over here with David, where it's like, yeah, she's just made a beeline for him. They're yelling and screaming about, their connection over
Yeah.
jet skis. Now she's helping to put a target on David. It's too much, and it's not helpful for her, and it's not helpful for the people that she's doing this with, because it's just too big and it's too obvious and everyone's going to know about it. It doesn't help either of them in that situation. And then yeah, she's handed Star the bus schedule
Yeah.
again, but I understand it in some ways because her and Star, they haven't been getting along. They've both been handing each other the bus schedule. And for it being a new tribe, and Eva's like, oh man, I don't really normally connect with other women. That happens sometimes. I only connect with guys. There's only one guy on this tribe here, and Star's on my tribe. I need to hit at her before she hits at me. I understand why she did it. But to sit everybody in a big group and just be like, yeah, this is the way it's got to be, please, it's too much.
Yeah. Way too much. I will say big picture here. Jeff, I would like to give you credit, but this is random chance, so no credit for you, Jeff. This is just it's just a really good tribe swap. I feel like we have 3 interesting tribes. I'm glad that they did this because I did not really just want to watch the Luva tribe or the Vula tribe. I can never get this tribe name correct, but like I did not want to watch this tribe just be completely taken down. So we're in a much more even place moving forward. I will say I like people on all 3 tribes. Like I'm gonna be bummed out almost no matter who goes, and that's the good thing about this season so far.
Okay, so if you could be on a tribe swap and you can be on a tribe right now, which one is it? And it's Siva, and the reason why is because they have cassava.
Okay, no. Like,
I could eat cassava all day. This is also a food that is Guyanese. I've eaten so much cassava in my life. It's so delicious. They have so much food on this tribe. I'm totally in it.
Okay, I feel like I would probably just want to be on the Lagi tribe just because I feel like Eva and Star are going to put the targets on themselves that are so big. I can just let David do his David antics and I can just sit back and chill.
It's too messy over there and the vibes are not vibing. I just feel like if I'm on this show and I'm not fed, it's going to be a problem. I'm not going to perform well. I just need to have cassava and a good shelter, and I might actually be able to do halfway decent.
I think the thing we can all agree on here is that nobody wants to go to the Green Tribe and that terrible beach where they just show up there and it looks like, I don't know, it's like a natural disaster took place here. Okay, it's time to talk about, well, there needs to be a theme song for this, but it's like, welcome to Sitcom Dave, where he walks in and it's like, water? Who needs water when I have chocolate milk? And then he goes and opens the fridge and there's a full gallon of it. And he just chugs it on screen. David, what is wrong with you? Like, how do you not get sick? How do you not? You're having way too much sugar in your diet, my man.
Oh, way too much sugar. This has been my problem with David. I am so torn on David. Like, when he is not putting it at an 11 and trying to play a bit, because that is what it feels like, David. Sorry, not sorry. When you are not doing that, I am rooting for you. When you are just, revealing things about yourself, talking about the tougher situation that you're in right now financially, your girlfriend who now you're like, oh yeah, she broke up with me. I thought you guys were still together. She broke up with you. Thank goodness. And you're just like, oh, I'm going to get this money and go back and give her a ring. David, you deserve better. My guy, you deserve better. I can't with sitcom Dave. It is not real.
Okay, there's
an insecurity there. That's what that feels like.
I am all over the place with David. Like, I will say that I am enjoying him just as the weird, kooky survivor character this season. But yeah, your story with your girlfriend / not girlfriend is getting a little bit inconsistent and confusing to me at this point, where I'm just like,
my heart.
What's going on there? But beyond all of that, though, yeah, you are a little bit too crazy sometimes. I will say this, though. how much of this is an act strategically? Because it seems like Charity has bought in hook, line, and sinker to this idea that you have no strategic bone in your body,
Yep.
that
Yep.
you are the sitcom character who's coming into the room and the audience is applauding, you say something silly, and then you leave, whereas you're going behind her back and being like, oh yeah, I want Charity out. And if this is actually how you're playing and it's deliberate, like, I will give you some applause for that.
He's the Manny from This Is Us, where he's just coming in and saying something really funny with no shirt on and then leaving. And there's, as with This Is Us, there was more to that character as well. And for me, I enjoy David the most when that bit is being dropped and I'm actually getting in deeper with him because I find him really interesting.
It's a good reference with the Manny. Are
Yeah,
you
thank
saying
you.
that after this season, we're going to see David become Justin Hartley's stunt double on another CBS show in Tracker?
It's possible.
Okay, so we don't really have a great idea what's actually going to happen at this Loggy tribe at this point, just because we've had, oh, Star may be a target, Eva may be a target, Charity may be a target, but we'll go over here to your beloved, I guess,
Cassava tribe.
the Siva tribe slash Cassava tribe at this point. Here is the number one reason I do not want to be on the Siva tribe. Say does not know how to play a game that is not 100 miles an hour, and it's very entertaining. I love watching Say. Say is very Tony-like in that I always think she's about to be voted out, and yet she continues to stay in the game week after week.
I would be very happy to be on a tribe with her if I could figure out quite quickly how it works with her. And typically, is you seemingly can. Like, if you vote against her or go against her, you are the target. If you play with her, you are fine. And she is always the target. So that works out great for me because then I can just sit at the side and eat a pot of cassava and be friends with Say, who seems like she's a really nice person, and go from there.
She's a little bit Boston Robbish with the whole, if you want again with me, you're against
I'm
me.
fine with that. Say's amazing. She's great TV,
She
and
is.
I feel like if you work with her, she's going to have your back. I truly believe that she will. And the minute that you turn on her,
Yeah.
she's going to turn on you. And Say should, but because she does that, just work with her. It's all good.
See, this is where I'm torn again because I understand fully what she's doing when it comes to Cedric. And this is why we talked about this in the last review that sure, Cedric, you eventually decided to keep her, but you previously decided you wanted to vote her out. Say's not a dummy. Like, Say is going to remember that and be like, okay, well, I know I can't fully trust you. And yeah,
Yeah, she
there's
should.
there's a big part of me that's just sort of like, okay, Say, yeah, you should be throwing Cedric under the bus. At the same time, I'm also sitting here, like with Eva, where I'm just like, do you need to do this right now, Say? You have not lost a challenge yet? The tribe swap literally just happened?
I know, but Say no, she can't trust Cedric. She's watching him over here with Mitch, building some sort of a friendship.
Yeah.
She's not really being included with it. Yeah, Cedric is like, yeah, it'll be me and Mitch and Say. Okay, us together will be it sort of thing. And it's like, okay, that's great. But Say doesn't know that that's going on. She just sees you two bonding over here, and you just ran the bus over her. So I get what's happening here because Bianca she doesn't have a vote.
Yeah.
She doesn't really know what's going on. She's like, oh, you two came over together, so I just assume you guys are working together. I think Say really played it beautifully where she was just like, take the time to observe yourself. I'm not going to sit here and necessarily run the bus over him, but just take a minute to get to know him yourself and see what you see. And I thought that was a really smart play.
I will say, if I had
I
to,
love Say.
I love Say too. It's just like pure entertainment, chaos. I can't root against someone who's playing this hard, who is clearly this invested in wanting to be there and making the most of this experience. Because, like, if I had to sit down and be like, okay, Say or Cedric, which one of them do I think is going to go further? It's 100% Say, especially when it
Say
comes
all
to
day.
especially when we're talking about like who is more likely to win. Because Cedric has already established that he can be wishy-washy, that he can change his mind. That's not something that a jury always respects. Like, he still has a chance to make it pretty far, but I have to say now, especially that Thomas has been voted out. They're going to find this out on this next episode. Bianca was really close to Thomas. Bianca, like you said, doesn't have a vote now, but I'm just sort of sitting here and being like, I kind of like Bianca. I really like Say. I want to see these two women kind of get together now and try to figure something out, because it's not like Say has a lot of other really loyal allies. Like, I did like the idea of her and Mary working together early on in this episode, but who knows when they're going to be able to get back together. It might not be till the merge, and one of them may not be there.
So that moment at that last week's tribal council that I was talking about, where, it all went sideways, Cedric, did what he did to Say. And then at the end of it, we saw Say kind of like feeling really down about it. And the person that comforted her was Mary, not Cedric. And I love that they did have this conversation where Say was like, yeah, I kind of saw him as like a father figure, but the only person that was comforting me, that had their hand on my back, was you. Like, and I think that really stuck with her. And I'm glad that it did, because that was the moment that I took away from that whole episode, that I was like, these two women do like each other, and they do respect each other's gameplay. And it sucks that they're on the opposite sides of it, because it feels like they genuinely like each other.
And this brings us to, I don't think this is going to be a weekly segment, but something we can pull out here and there. Adorable Survivor moment of the week, because it's not that often we have something that's adorable. But the stick message that was left for Mary, that was so cute. And
Say all day.
I think what probably happened here is that, and they can't explicitly say this on the show, but Mary was probably off doing a confessional or something with producers. And, Say was probably like, okay, I want her to know what we're doing. But it's still worth noting that they didn't actually find anything on the Villa Beach. So those 4 people that are left now, they may be able to find something. I'm kind of curious now that, okay, Kyle has played his idol back at Siva. There might be a chance that Say can find another idol over there now.
Yeah.
This was just a really fun episode. Like, another great win for Team Guyana, for you. A really good win, I think, for all of us who love Survivor. Like, this is the second straight week that I think we've had a really fire episode. I think this is a really, really good cast. No offense to last season, but I think this cast is just tremendously better than last season at this point.
This cast is really good. There's a lot of really good characters on here. It feels like there's a lot of just genuine people, which is what I watch Survivor for. I know a lot of people are really into the gameplay, and I totally understand. It's really exciting. But for me, I really like reality TV when I'm getting to know people that either I can connect with or are actually just being really vulnerable, because that is not something that you get to see on reality TV these days very often anymore. Everybody's playing a bit, trying to get Instagram followers. So when you get people who are either playing really hard, like Say, which I love, or people who just feel really genuine, like your guy Joe, like, it's just so nice.
Yeah, it really, really is. And to come out of this episode with 2 people just making such a brilliant move, but also such a brilliant social move, because their social game is really what sold it, we can be excited about what's coming up next. But what did you guys think about Survivor 48 episode 4? Are you Team Guyana with Jess? Are you Team Joe with me? Are you Team somebody else? If you're Team Thomas, tell us how sad you are. Also, you're Team Thomas? Well, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and you can support us further by joining our Patreon. Link is in the description below. We are covering, as Jess said, exclusively over there, The Pit on Max. We have Bosch Legacy and Andor on the way. Thank you so much. We will see you here next time.